I have a daily practice and routine that will completely change your life. It's changed my life for the better, and I'm here to share it with you. So, this routine is something that you can do at the start of your day before you do anything else in the morning. So, you wake up, obviously, most people, right after they wake up, they turn on their phone and they do a bunch of stuff and they end up getting distracted by the day. And before they know it, they're on their way to work or they're working and they haven't really taken any time or space for themselves to really like check in, see how they're feeling, pray, any of that stuff. And it leaves you feeling ungrounded if that's what you do. So, what I do in the mornings, before I actually start my workday, what I do is I actually do a prayer. And I've talked about this before. I always do a prayer before I even take my phone out of airplane mode. I sleep with my phone on airplane mode. I always start the day with a prayer. Now, after all that stuff, when I come downstairs and I make my tea, what I do before I actually start working is this simple practice. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes, probably about 15 on the high end, 10 on the lower end. And so, what I do is I write a letter to God. Now, this practice comes from something that is a combination of two things. One, there was a pastor in my church who talked about reading the Proverbs every day. And so then I came across Matthew Thompson, who runs a group called the Fellowship, and he came up with this practice, and I started implementing it, and it's made a huge change in my life for the better. So I want to share it with all of you. And so, credit to him for coming up with this and sharing it out because it's really, really helpful. So, I don't want to pretend that I invented the framework because I did not. It's just something that I practice that is really great. And I know Matthew got it from somebody that he worked with in his church that told him about, doing the daily proverbs and all this other stuff. So, it's kind of all passed through and had iterations. So, what you do is you write a letter to God. You start, Dear God, and you just say whatever's on your heart, whatever comes to you. You just write out a letter to God in the morning. So I put the date at the top of the page. Dear God, write my letter, signed, Love Nick. And it can be really simple, really straightforward. I'm actually even willing to share one with you. So I do this in just a regular old notebook. So here's a regular old notebook. And the format, let me see if I can, you're probably not going to be able to see it very well, but the format looks kind of like this. Dear God, and then there's two other sections, and I'll explain those. And what I'm going to do is for those of you who are in my free school community, which is also going to be linked in the description, I'll also lay it out in there so that it's easier to follow. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have the general idea, but if you want to see like how it lays out and all that, I'm going to put it in the description of the video in the classroom in my free school community for Man Rewired. So definitely check that out. It'll be in the description. So this is what I wrote. This was I picked just a random day. So I picked July 11th, 2026. And I wrote, Dear God, thank you for the gift of wisdom and discernment. Thank you for being with me and bringing the right people and opportunities at the right time, but also for showing me when things have run their course. My life is better with you in my heart. I love you. Love, Nick. And that was it. Just like a simple gratitude to God letter. Now, that's part one. You spend no more than 5 minutes doing that. Then, and this is another shout out to Matthew Thompson for recommending this book. This is a really tiny ESV. You can get this on Amazon for like $10, and it's a tiny ESV, English Standard Version Bible that just has the New Testament, the Book of Psalms, and the Book of Proverbs. And what you're going to do is go to the Book of Proverbs, and this is actually a practice that came from my church, but Matthew Thompson uses it as well in this. So there's 31 proverbs in the Book of Proverbs, and they're all very much sharing wisdom and really just good ways of living your life. Now, because there's 31, you can pick whatever day of the month it is and open up to that proverb. So for July 11th, I opened up to Proverbs 11. And then what you do is, and this is a little different from how he teaches it. What he teaches is you start reading the proverb, and as soon as you come to something that stands out to you that you feel in your heart, you write down an S in your notebook and you write it next to that. So you write down like one or two verses. So, for example, let's say you got to verse 3, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. You would write that down in your notebook. But the way I do it that's different is I read the entire proverb. So I read the entirety of section 11. So I would read the whole thing, and then after I read it, I go back to something that did stand out to me, and I go back to whatever it was that kind of was standing out to me that I thought was really important for the day, and then I write it down. So in this case, on July 11th, I wrote, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom." And that was from Proverbs. So what you're going to do here is what's called the SOAP. The SOAP stands for scripture, S for scripture, O for observation, A for application or action, depending on if you're applying this to your life or if you're taking action in your life from what you're reading. And then P is for prayer, where you write a short prayer. So I wrote S, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. And then for O, I wrote, this is my own thought for my observation. Pride used to be poison on my soul, but humility has opened me up to love and connection. And then I wrote A, seek to understand and trust in God. And then I wrote P, and this is for prayer. God, please keep me humble in my approach and open me up to wisdom. So you can do that. You can do the process of writing the letter to God and then doing the SOAP. Now, the big three is the next part. Now, this does also come from Matthew Thompson's exercise. And there's two ways to approach this because I used to do what was called the Power List, which came from Andy Frisella, and it was from his 75 Hard program and stuff, where you write down the 5 things that you're going to get done for the day, and you write them down in a notebook, and then you write at the end of the day whether you win or lose. So in his book, in his thing, that you write down the 5 things that you're going to do for the day, and then at the end of the day you go back and you check off if you did them, and at the top of the page you write win if you got them all done, you write lose if you didn't. And the idea is to create a winning mentality. Well, Matthew Thompson changed it to his version is the big 3. What he taught was the big 3. And instead of doing 5 things, he said you write the 3 things that you're going to do for the day that predominantly will affect your career, but they can be other things too, like your personal life and things as well. So the big 3 things. Now, it's up to you if you want to do 3 or 5. I started experimenting with this and started doing 3, and I find it to be a lot better because when I was doing 5, I feel like sometimes I was putting things in there that were just filler. Like I would put, something like, you know, um, check my mailbox type of like some not actually that, but you know what I mean? Like I would find sometimes like maybe there was only 3 really important things. So 4 and 5, I would kind of fill in with stuff that wasn't even that big of a deal. And I would just kind of like fill the space sometimes. What I found is that there's always 3 things that are important to do. Now, there's not always 5 really important things to do, but there's always 3. And so, in this case, I put like design and try a new high intensity interval training workout. Now, this isn't as simple as just do a workout. This was a really specific thing that I was working on at the time of trying to come up with a new high intensity interval training strategy at that particular time. So that's actually a big thing. The second one was family connection in town, which meant taking my family into town and doing something that would bring us all together so that we could all connect as a family. So that was an important thing to me that day. And then the other one was do a video promotion in school and YouTube and on Instagram. So this is, I wrote it as one thing. It's really several things. So I guess in this case, it would be kind of like 5 things, a video promo in school, a video upload on YouTube, and an Instagram post. But it doesn't matter. I wrote that all as one line because it was all related to each other. So that was like more of a business thing. And that's it. So you write those down in the morning before you've done anything. And now you know the main things that you have to accomplish for the day for you to feel like you got it all done. And again, I just use a simple notebook, and then I have this simple Bible that's really small. It's easy to travel with. I just went on a trip to Italy recently. I brought it with me. I still did this stuff while I was in Italy. Now in Italy, the big 3 was different because I was taking vacation. So what I did when I was in Italy was I just did the letter to God and then the soap. And I skipped the big three because I didn't need a big three. I didn't need a bunch of things for my career. And I don't necessarily need to write reminders all the time of simple things. Like I was on a trip, I was with my fiance, we were going to spend time together. I didn't need to write like, oh, do this dedicated time with my fiance. I didn't need to do that. Like I was already doing that. So obviously, when you're traveling, you can still do this practice. I do it every single day. I don't skip a beat. Now, I'm going to add my own flavor of something else that I do. So, this is something that I invented. I left this detail out early on purpose, but it should not be skipped. So, before I actually do this practice, I know I probably should have talked about this in the beginning, but I didn't. It doesn't really matter. Before I actually do this practice, I have this other little notebook. Now, this notebook I will not read from to you because it's personal, but what I will tell you it is something that I've been doing for years. And what I do be, is I write a love note to my partner, to my fiance. I write a love note to her. And it just has the date. So it'll say, like the day I'm recording this is August 21st, 2026. So at the top, it'll say 8/21, 2026. And I just write a simple love note of whatever's on my mind to her. It could be something like about her that I love. It could be something about what we did. It could be a reflection of something, whatever it is. It could be, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you this morning. I can't wait to spend time with you later. It might be something real simple, but I write a note, and sometimes it's more poetic, sometimes it's not as much poetic, but I always do that. And at the end, I always end it with like, I love you or I love you so much, and then love, and then my name. And this is something that I do every single day. Same thing. When I went to Italy, I brought it with me. I brought the little Bible and the two notebooks, and I did this practice while I was on my trip. I take them with me. That's why I use the small ones. And then what I do is I take a picture on my phone of the love note and I text it to her so that when she eventually wakes up and checks her phone, she'll have that message first thing in the morning. It has made my relationship so much stronger because and it's really nice for her because she's waking up to a lot of love, and then I'm getting to like share more gratitude for her, and it just changes the way that I think about my relationship. So these are the daily practices. I do my love note. So wait, let me start over. I wake up in the morning, I do a prayer in bed as soon as I wake up, I do a prayer. I then take my phone off airplane mode. I brush my teeth. I do all that stuff. I come downstairs. I make my tea, and then right after I make my tea and sit down, I write my love note, take the picture, send her the picture. Then I do my letter to God. Then I do my soap practice with scripture in the book of Proverbs. Then I do my big three, and then I start working. Now, this has all of these things combined have changed my life dramatically. The one I've been doing for the longest is writing the love note to my partner. I've been doing that for the longest. The prayer as well. Actually, I've been doing the prayer for the longest, like prayer first thing, and then writing the love note. But the practice of doing the letter to God and soap and the big three, that is a little bit newer. Again, I did the power list, the top 5 at one point, but I did switch to the big three. Now, I want you to try all this and let me know how it works for you. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of stuff, but here's the thing. This practice, all this stuff, it takes me about 15 minutes. It's not super long. In the book of Proverbs, it's not like you're reading a long section of the Bible. You're reading one chapter of Proverbs. It's very short. It's usually like in my little tiny Bible, it's usually like one or two pages. Like it's very small, and very short. So you can do this really quickly. It'll change your life. Let me know what you think. I want to hear from you on it. So again, if you want the full description of it, it's for free in my school community. You can join it. It's called Man Rewired, and the link is in the description. If you're watching this on Man Rewired, then you'll already have that. But I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you all soon.